there's some great reportage there.
Talking about the humor of the film, I guess like sneaky sense of humor, would you say that much of the humor was from Mark's words, or how much of it came from you, I guess?
Good question. No clear answer. I guess that when I first read Mark's article, I felt that in terms of our literary heads, you know, who we both were as storytellers, there was a bond of some sort. And every time, well, you can answer this in a way, the moment with Susan on the set.
Yes. There's a sequence of scenes that are no longer in the film. I mean, Mark had quite a bit of imagination, and there are a number of fantasy scenes where he was imagining, you know, people like his therapist who, you know, he asked her, that's not in there anymore, is it? I mean, there had been a section where, you know, where the therapist was explaining the difference between a sex surrogate and a prostitute. Not Cheryl, but the other therapist in the office. And she was sort of saying, well, you know, I'm not like a prostitute. And so suddenly Mark is visualising her as a prostitute, when she's really just going to be a therapist, like in class or in one room. And so we were shooting that scene, and Susan Fernbach, you know, his partner for the last 5 years of his life, who's also been around and has been fantastic in terms of support for this film, she was standing behind me, and I was watching it thinking, oh, is this just Ben's kind of crazy, wild imagination all over the place, or is this something Mark really would have thought about? And I hear Susan's voice as if she's reading my mind, and she goes, oh, Mark would have so loved this. Oh, did you just say that, really? So clearly they both shared some innate sense of humour, and I think it's probably a little blend of both that just came instinctively, although we never knew him. I mean, we never knew Mark. He died a number of years before me. Before Ben stumbled across the stories. Is that kind of answer the question?
I think that, you know, for some people, life can either be grim or absurd, and I think that Mark, as often as he could, took the absurd view, which is something that I felt was a common bond between us. So I'm hoping that what I was reflecting is both our senses of life. Yes?
Was the opening scene an actual news clip of the real Mark?
Yes, it's an actual news clip. Yes. The lady up the back first. Yes, that's you.
I'm curious about casting. In anticipating seeing this film, I kept thinking of Winter Bone. It was really difficult for me to think about John Hawkes playing someone so entirely different from Teardrop, and he's also played some other really intense roles. I can't imagine how you would come to him with some of the things that he's done. So I'm curious how he ended up attaching to the project. And I guess Helen Holt also, the cast as I looked at it was kind of like, that was a really intriguing part of reading about the story, was who was playing the parts.
Look, I'll try and give that as quick an answer as I can, but it's a pretty complex question, and my reaction to seeing John in Winter's Bone was probably like yours. What? But the casting director, Ronnie Eskel, absolutely insisted that I should, you know, go beyond this and see him for what he was, which is a real chameleon of an actor. When we finally got together, I wasn't sitting with Teardrop from Winter's Bone, I was sitting with another human being altogether. And over the course of our 2-hour meeting together, after that I was totally convinced. And I think by the first day of shooting, I said it couldn't have been anyone else. But I think that the crucial element in that was my casting director having the foresight to know that he could do this in a magnificent way, that he was an actor of the most extraordinary range. And thus you see, I mean, you'd never connect Teardrop with Mark O'Brien, but he's quite a special guy. As far as Helen Hunt was concerned. I had not initially envisaged, when I'm writing, I don't see actors at all. You start casting, you redefine your demographic, you redefine the whole movie, and that's part of the excitement of it. You're not just slotting people into already pre-cut holes. For me, it's an entirely new process. And I mean, the range of names that sort of came up in that process, I mean, for instance, can you imagine Drew Barrymore doing it? She was one of the possibilities. After John Hawkes was in the movie, word got around, and I had the choice of all of Hollywood's leading ladies. It was an extraordinary position to be in. And I think in Helen's case, I found her approach to the totality of it so incisive. It wasn't just to do with my role, it was to do, I mean, if I can draw your mind to the scene when Vera comes up to the window with the envelope and said, "You forgot this." Moon, the actress, told me the following day that what Helen was giving off with her back to camera was the same as what she was giving when she was on camera. Now, a lot of movie stars don't do this. They have their double do their over-the-shoulder shot. But Helen had the insight to realise this was a two-handed scene, and the intensity had to be as much, you know, when it was on her back as when it was on her. And this kind of super intelligent, sensitive approach to the totality of the scene and to the movie really drew her to me, even though she wasn't necessarily my image. I guess I initially thought of someone who was naturally more mothering and nurturing and so on. The way we planned it was that she would start off as a very mechanical and professional practitioner, and in fact, I think one of the most effective scenes was the first one where John is palpably afraid of her, and there was a journey for her to go to, and I guess that it was another one of those occasions where spending the time with the actor initially gave me a real sense of who could do it best. And again, after a short time, I couldn't imagine anyone else in the part.
Is there someone who will have a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up? Come on, I know you're all not shy. I know you're all too much.
Yes.
How long did filming it take?
22 days. I can certainly recommend that if you're going to do an indie movie on a low budget, have the cameraman live with you. Which is how it was in our case, and we planned every single scene in minute detail, and when we were shooting, Jeff and I really talked about irrelevancies. We knew what we were doing all day. Now, interesting you're all film buffs. Let me tell you that unlike what you may think or what is mythologized, a film crew revolves around the director of photography. It doesn't revolve around the director. And the secret to making, one of the secrets to making one of these films efficiently is to have the right director of photography. Anyway, it's been a great pleasure. Oh, my goodness.
I'm a little bit embarrassed because I thought of this question a few times and now I just have to ask.
I love embarrassment.
Did you put attention to the wallpaper in the lobby of the hotel because it looked very feminine?
Very what?
It was very feminine.
Did John build those walls that we were using eventually? I mean, he did. So I don't know if every camera was, building or whether it was just one coverage down. In LA, you can find some pretty 80s looking kind of hotels.
But the wallpaper in particular, do you remember?
I think there was one wall that was created by our art department, and I think the walls around the actual.
I think the purpose of it was the actual motel was a little bit more swish and elegant than we wanted. And I think that his idea was to cheapen things down a little bit rather than to make them look more sexy. But I'm actually going to contact the designer and ask him if he had a secret agenda that I was not aware of.
Very interesting. We'll look at that. I'd like to.
Yes, sir.
What is the future of the surrogate?
The future of the surrogate. Well, that is now out of our hands. We are now the humble servants of Fox Searchlight, and the future is entirely in their hands. But they have shown tremendous enthusiasm for the film as it is, and I think it's up to them to strategize how to put it out. I mean, they would like to make their money back plus some. I think that they hopefully regard it as a different sort of project and are going to market it with its special peculiarities. I mean, I didn't think of this when we were making the film, but I don't think there are a lot of movies out there with this kind of subject matter.
There are 10 a year of guys and I in lumps on that.